changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words holy words of our faith handed down to this age came to us through sacrifice. Oh, heed the faithful words of Christ. Holy words long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Ancient words ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Ancient words ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Ancient words ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Ancient words ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart.
Every one of you have a journey to take. Your first step is your most important step. You don't go up to the top. You grow up to the top.
You are one decision away from shifting your life from where it is right now to a totally different place.
So often our setbacks are setups. It's just hard to see it at the time.
What if you interrupted that pattern of thinking and simply said, what do I want? That takes your energy and focus off of the problem and begins to focus you on a solution.
Success is a series of steps, not one giant leap.
Commitment will get us to the starting line. Consistency will get you to the finish line.
You were born. You were created for your life to count. Every one of you have a journey to take. You and I are already on the same first blank page.
When I reflect on my life, which I'm living right now, what will I be proud of? You are positioned where you are because you are uniquely created to influence your organization and make a difference in this world.
And what's really important is to listen to yourself and then do what we really, really want to do, what's in our heart.
You have to make a decision during the process. Are you going to take the hard that comes with being successful, or are you going to take the hard with not being successful?
Don't forget where you came from, but don't you dare ever let it solely define you.
Don't you ever let anyone else write your story but you. You write on these pages the greatest story ever told.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are calling from. Today, I am just starting off as your host. My name is Sarah Jessie Appiah from CTL, Africa, Ghana. It's great to have you here again with us this Saturday. And I can see already quite a number of you announcing yourself. So just let us know where you are dialing in from. We have Benjamin already on the call, William Dafoe, Jemima Kumi, Willis Kweku, Dede Veronica. Good evening to all of you. I can see you are calling from Accra. And then we have Ebenezer Yebuatufo from Abuja. So once again, this is CTL, the leadership platform. We are here once again to give you great leadership lessons. And we have, we have Evelyn Tavia from all the way from Gibraltar. Great to have you here with us. This evening, we have one great guest, and she has already been with us, yet she's coming to serve us a great menu. Many of us wake up one day and we realize that it's about time for us to retire, and we have not prepared. Today we have Dr. Suzy Aku, an accomplished, a great lady who has a great of wealth to share with us. Let me just give you a little run-up about her profile. Dr. Suzy Aku Puplampu is the CEO and lead fund manager of Octane DC Limited, a fund management and investment advisory firm which is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Ghana. Octane DC provides investment advisory services to individuals, institutions, pension funds, and collective investment schemes. As a finance and investment professional, Suzy has in-depth knowledge and experience working in the finance industry in Ghana spanning over 2 decades. For the greater part, her professional life has been dedicated to investment banking and fund management, accounting, financial reporting, and management consulting. In the process, she has led various wealth management, finance, and administrative teams to manage funds worth over $58 million. That is about 337 million Ghana cedis. So you can see she knows how to manage money and funds and wealth, to be precise. She serves on so many governance bodies, and she is the chair of the Galaxy Balance Fund Limited and a board member of the Octane SD Limited. Currently, she serves on the board of Cyclone HR, and also serve as an independent corporate trustee on the pension and provident funds of 2 corporate boards. She is also a facilitator for the newly set up Ghana Institute for Securities and Investment. She teaches portfolio management, wealth management, and she is a great writer on financial issues and other social issues. She has featured articles published in the Business and Financial Times and Business 24. And guess what? She's a blogger on financial issues. So with this, I would like to welcome Dr. Suzy Aku Puplampu to take us away on what we need to do to get ready for retirement. Suzy, the space is your audience.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was so kind of you. Your kind words about me. I'm sitting here just smiling to myself. A very blessed evening to all who are joining us on this call from wherever you are. Thank you for making the time. And it's my expectation that for the next hour and a half, we'll all live here with something to live off of as we plan for our retirement. I would like to share my screen at this moment. Sarah, please confirm you can see the screen.
Okay, waiting for you to do so. Yes, it's coming up.
Great, and you can hear me as well?
I can hear you loud and clear, but the screen is not showing yet. It's taking some time for it to come up.
Okay, but you can see me. Can you see me?
Can see you, yes. It's
okay,
just
let me know
what
it's taking a while.
All right.
Let me know when the screen comes up so I can begin to share.
Perfect.
So retirement planning essentials. Yeah, is it showing now?
No, maybe you should just restart again.
All right, let me see. I'm resharing it again.
Okay. There we go. Bingo.
Okay, so now you can see it. Great,
yes.
Great.
Thank you.
So as I was introduced, I lead a fund management company. We manage funds for individuals, institutions, and groups. And a number of clients that come my way are people who are planning for retirement or approaching retirement. So I have a bit of story to share in respect of my encounter with them. One thing Sarah didn't mention is that I love life and I live life. I take every moment very precious in my life. And that is the attitude we all need to have towards retirement. It's one life, but we must live it in such a way that as we approach retirement, it will be exciting as well for us. So come with me and let's plan our retirement together. I would like to start on a very strong note. And Sarah, if you can see my screen, I would like you to read what you see on the screen for us.
Okay. All right. It's gone, but don't worry. I'll bring up my.
Oh, you can see, right?
It's fine. I can read it out. I'll read it out. I'll read it now. So it's from Isaiah 55, 10, 11 is the New International Version. It says, as the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return to it, without watering the earth and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, so is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Most welcome.
There must be a reason for us all to leave the pleasures of our comfort at this particular moment, to spend the next hour or two on this call. There must be a reason for it. Whatever it is, I need us all to be open-minded. It is never too late for anyone to start thinking about retirement or to start planning towards retirement. So grab your notepad, pick up your pen. Make sure you note down some action points that whatever I will share, as the good book has said, you will not just hear it, but we will all pick some decisions from the lessons that we'll share together today. So I just want to encourage everyone on the call, please note down some action points. It's the most important things we can do for us in this evening. So that once we are done, you begin to take some steps so that you don't just hear and do nothing about it. So I have a question for us to begin with. I wish this was a physical session so we can engage one-on-one, looking into each other's eyes. But it just feels like I'm the only one on the call now. I can't even see Sarah or Kofi. The question I have for all of us on this call, and I wish I could get some answers. Why do many leaders in active work life plan so late for retirement? We are all leaders on this call. So the question is, why do we all plan so late for retirement? Do we all know that the best time we need to start thinking and planning for retirement is with our first job? Our very first job, for most of us, our very first job is national service. There is some economic benefit out of that. Do we know that that is the point at which we need to begin to plan for retirement? I'm sure a number of us on this call would have missed that boat. And even at the point that we are, we still see retirement very far away from us. So the wake-up call, let me see if I can get some of us taking some deep reflections on our life so far, what we have done so far when it comes to working, and to ask ourselves how far we are preparing for retirement. To what extent, as leaders, if we don't plan, then we are getting ready for failure. So how ready are we, or to what extent do we know or feel we have sufficient income? You can write the answers down yourself. How aware are we of the need to plan financially towards retirement as leaders? Are we even aware that we need to plan? Or we are just waiting for that day to hit us? As leaders, do we understand financial matters as it comes to retirement planning? Because planning involves financing. Planning involves financing. So do we understand financial matters so far as retirement planning is concerned? The next question I want to ask is, how well developed are our retirement plans as leaders? Do we think about it one time and forget about it? Or we keep looking at it every now and then? The bigger question, are we putting out enough amounts out of our income for savings or investments? Are we putting out enough amounts? Along the way, I'll share some thoughts on the things we need to do at various stages in our life. And I must tell you at this important time that at certain points in our lives, we have no choice. We need to take drastic decisions about the quantum of money we put in investments. As leaders, do we see ourselves attaining the level of income we think we would need during retirement? There is comfort now, we are able to do a number of things now as we look ahead towards retirement. Are we going to be able to guarantee that same level of comfort? So these are some thoughts I want to leave with us all on the call that we begin to think through. Retirement planning is not about teaching you. It's about letting you know what you need to do so that you manage the surprises that comes along. So I hope my screen is moving at your end now.
Yes, I believe so. Let me quickly check. Yes, it is.
All right. Retirement is wonderful if we have two essentials: liquidity, health, family, and friends. We need to know two things about retirement. It can be wonderful if we have much to live on. That is liquidity. And it can be wonderful if we have much to live for: health, family, and friends. So let's remember, one is something to live on, and it should be sufficient or significant. And we should also have much to live for, so far as family and friends and our health is concerned. So let's have that at the back of our mind so that the next time we hear about retirement, we don't feel like, oh, this is nothing we should know about now because we are not old. My first opportunity to engage with CTL was in April, specifically April 10, 2021. It was just one slide on retirement planning. And Sam said, Suzy, you must come back to expand on this. So this was where I left off in April. And I was looking at three things under retirement planning: liquidity, health, and social capital. If you're on this call this evening, you don't hear anything at all, or you won't remember anything at all, please walk away with these three things: liquidity, health, and social capital. If you were on the call in April, you remember that this old man's image was what I shared, just to let us know that retirement can be fun. So for today, for the next 30 to 45 minutes, this is what I'll share. Retirement planning, what is it? Why do we need it? Why do we need to plan? Then I'll look at the three essentials as I've mentioned: liquidity. Under liquidity, we'll look at financial planning, investment, and pensions. Then we move on to health. We'll look at wellness. That is where the conversation is now: wellness, insurance, and psychological adjustments. For the third and the final essential that I'll share, social capital. Social capital. Friends, but the emphasis here is on friendships, families, and home support. At the end of the day, what actions are we going to take after this call? So let's get a bit interactive. Sarah, I'd like you to be helpful here. I don't know if you can see the responses in the chat room as they drop in.
Yes, I can.
I want some engagement. So the question I have on our screen, please, this is you. Answer it as objectively as is required. Are you planning towards investment? Yes or no? Are you planning towards investment? Yes or no? Please just drop the responses in the chat room. Sarah just mentioned a few to me, and I'll move to the next screen. Are you planning towards investment?
Okay. We have Sam on the line saying we plan late because of lack of knowledge. Ebenezer Yebua Tufuo said yes. Evelyn Teria says yes. And Ambassador T. Rockefeller Jackson said yes. And then Ben says yes. Rosemary Daisy says yes. And Edward Perry says yes. Oh, it's all yeses.
Right.
Yes. Oh, we have
Woo,
great leaders on the platform.
great. We have, in fact, effective leaders. Great and effective leaders. So we know, we know what is expected of us. So now that you have said yes, my next question, if you said yes, how are you planning? You can put that down as well. We'll go through it later. No one said no.
Okay,
but if you had no, yes.
Suzy, Frederick Beidou says yes, but not really consistent. So we have yeses.
Okay.
And
No.
Dorothy Aiken said, yes, I am planning. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. It means our audience are live on the phone. There's no distraction. They are here with us. So if you said yes, please, for your own benefits, just note down what you have done so far or how you are planning. If you said no, it's never too late. It is never too late. But you should ask yourself why. You should ask yourself why. Let me just share some authorities on retirement planning and 6 mistakes that was shared by Dr. Shadrach Kent. I believe that's the right pronunciation. 6 mistakes to avoid during retirement. 6 mistakes to avoid during retirement. Depending on one source of income is the biggest mistake. Depending on one source of income during retirement. So it's all our pension income. That is all we have. The other mistake is depending on our children for cash support. It is such a drain on the next generation. When your children or your child, sometimes it's only a single child, have to begin to support you as a parent right when they get their first job. It's one big mistake. I experienced that with my dad. It was very unsettling for me. Somehow my dad was on my payroll. He told me how much I needed to give him every month. And the sad thing was that he called me on the last working day of every month. Sometimes when my salary had not even reflected. It wasn't the money I was giving him, but I was asking myself a lot of questions. Why? Didn't he plan? Didn't he see it coming? So that is one mistake we must all avoid. Taking risks with our pension funds, lump sum, you take it and you take major risks because somehow you just want to turn it around quickly to make more. It's one big mistake we can take with our pension funds. And the bigger one, if we are not buying the property, then we are completing one. Something we have begun doing over the years, but somehow we have not been able to finish. So we take our pension funds and we hit the road. We are going to complete our 6-bedroom house. We are done and we don't even have anyone to live in. The children have all moved on. Not having health insurance. Most of us live in the comfort of health insurance provided by our institutions. We walk in and out of hospital. We have no idea what consultation fees are. We go on admissions. We had all the minor operations. We stay in a week, 2 weeks. We have no idea what the cost is. And we don't plan to have any private insurance on the side to care for us after we exit the organization. The very last one, living by ourselves in isolated places. When you are old, you need people around you. So coming on pension does not mean you should be by yourself. You need to be close to life, close to healthcare, close to the people you love. That is not the time to go through divorce. That is not the time to go through separations. That is not the time to pick issues with your friends and family and community so that it is just you. No. So these are mistakes we should avoid during retirement. But I tell you, we can only avoid these mistakes if we plan ahead. If we don't plan ahead, we realize that 60 years comes and these are staring in our faces. So please remember this so we can all avoid them. As in all successful ventures, the foundation of a good retirement is planning. And as leaders on this call, we know how important planning is. Planning is what prepares us to move forward. Planning is what guarantees that we grow. Planning is what ensures success. So when it comes to retirement, we can't ignore what we need to do when it comes to planning for retirement. So the problem we have as leaders, the problem we have as young executives, the problem we have as future leaders is a negative posture towards retirement. Oh, I'm too young to start thinking about it. It's for older people. Retirement will never come. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s. It will never come. Oh, planning should start at 50 or 55 because that is when you feel you are growing old and you're approaching 60. My pension will be sufficient. My pension will be sufficient. This will be okay if you know what your pension amount will actually be. And if you feel it will give you the same level of comfort you have now and security you have now. If that is the case, then it is. But many of us don't even know what our pension amounts will even look like. And for many of us, there's no need to explore options. So we just sit, we just wait until that day we go to work. And there's an email from HR. Dear Sarah, you have 5 years more to spend with this organization. We have an arrangement with consultant on retirement planning. We need you to participate in that seminar for the next 5 days. So please move away from your desk and be part. Then it hits you. Wow, I have just 5 years more to go. So this is really it? This is real. It shouldn't be. The approach we need to adopt is to estimate our terminal benefits from our employers. We need to know what lump sum and monthly pension we are entitled to. It's an exercise we need to carry out very early because a lot of things are changing when it comes to pensions, especially in Ghana. So you need to know who is paying your lump sum, where it is coming from, and what your estimated monthly pension will be like. Once we know, then we determine the financing gap that we need to fill personally. If you know how much you're getting, and you know how much will give you comfort, then you begin to put in plans to fill that gap. Once you know the gap, you put in the effort. That is acting on it. You don't determine the gap and do nothing about it. Once you determine the gap, you take action to ensure that that gap can be filled. Let's remember that our lifestyle and financial sanity during our retirement, it's all a result of our previous decisions before retirement. Nothing much will change when we are on retirement. So every decision we take is based on decisions we took long before retirement. So when you hear retirement planning, there's one way or one thing hearing retirement and another thing hearing retirement planning. So what is retirement planning? It's a process planning is all a process. So it's a process of determining retirement income goals and the actions and decisions necessary to achieve those goals. So it's important for us to determine our income goals during retirement. Once we know the goals, we put in the actions and decisions to achieve those goals. So it's a process that requires a lot of reflection, thinking, planning, and taking bold actions or decisions to ensure that we achieve those. How do we do this? How do we do this? We must identify our sources of income. The emphasis here is on sources. I didn't say source. The emphasis here is on sources of income. Once we know or identify our sources of income, we must examine our expenditure patterns. Too many of us go through the month and we have no idea how much we spend on a monthly basis. If you ask the questions on an average, how much do you spend on a monthly basis? A lot of us don't know the answers. But it's important that we determine our expenditure patterns. Once we know we have the income, we have the expenditure, then we know how much to save out of that. And to help us grow our savings, we need to pass it through investment, so it also grows for us. But one thing I want to emphasize here, savings or investment must be part of your expenditure patterns. You don't save or you don't invest after expenditure, no. In fact, it's the first item on your expenditure list. You invest even before you begin to spend. So let's remember that. Invest before you begin to spend, because investment is part of your expenditure. So what is all this, the benefit of planning ahead? What do we get? Can't we just sit for retirement to hit us and then we just, move on? What is the benefit? When we begin to plan early, very early in our lives, in our 20s, 30s, 40s, it helps us in making better career choices. It helps us in knowing when to change jobs. Sometimes we take the wrong decision at the point of transition. You're holding on to a first degree, you're almost done with a second degree, you're just about 6 months to go. But somehow you apply for the next job with your first degree. Of course, the opportunity has come. So you start your next career at a lower level and not at the managerial level. So if you know how many more years you have, you make better career choices. When we plan ahead, we are more organized financially, and we look forward to retire. We are not afraid. Too many people are afraid to retire. But when you plan, you are more organized. You have a better sense of making financial and investment decisions, all taking the right directions. So all these make it very important for us that we don't just sit and we are surprised. Very critical, a point I have made is that we avoid being or becoming a burden on our children. When we do all this, we become a better person during retirement. Now, let's move on to the essentials, the reason why we are all here. So what do we need to do beyond today? A very important point, liquidity. Cash is king. When you have cash, you worry less. When you have cash, you take decisions very easily. When you have cash, you have comfort. So cash is king. And during retirement, the most important thing we need during retirement is cash. that we know where cash is and we know how we can easily access the cash. So having cash means we need to plan financially. And financially means we are looking at our P&L account, balance sheets, our investments, insurance. Very critical is our cash flow, in and out, in and out. A point I mentioned earlier about our sources of income. How many sources of income do we have? Beyond our salaries, what else do we have? Rental incomes, investment incomes, business incomes, board fees, anything you can think about. It's important that beyond our salaries that are guaranteed, it is important that we are able to access other sources of income, because there's a terminal point for the salaries for coming through. After 60, you are no more guaranteed a salary. So what do you do beyond that? And then outflows, how do we spend our income? Personal expenses, family, mandatory expenses, some things you can't avoid. You just have to spend them on a monthly basis. Gift and charity, we are giving people, so we are always giving and giving and giving. What do we have at the end of the day? What savings or what surplus? Or are we always running a deficit every year? Beyond the cash coming in and out, what about investments and insurance? We must remember two things when it comes to investment and insurance. They are all for protection. Investment is protection for our future needs. Because when it comes to investment, you know what you are planning for. School fees will come. The rent will come. Some expenses will come. You just have to be ready for them. You want to travel, summer holidays, you plan for it. So those are the things we plan for through investments. Protection against future risk, that is insurance. You don't know when it will hit, you don't know when it will happen, but then it happens. What do you do? So that is future risk we don't know. So insurance is something we shouldn't sweep under the table and begin to complain about premiums. Because when it hits, what will save you is insurance. We must remember that retirement is all a state of mind. Age is just about numbers. At 60, we are still very young. We are not old. So retirement is all a state of mind. And we must know the type of financial needs we will need during retirement. And it's important that we set aside emergency funds as well. So this is what the financial planning process requires. Sometimes it's difficult for us to carry out this exercise by ourselves because we can't just figure it out, or we don't even have the time to note them down. So having conversations with others to help you list them, it's part of the planning. So let me share some few things we can consider prior to retirement. And there are things we should do before 30 years, between 40 to 50 years, and after 50 years. So let's look at the age brackets. When we are below 30 years, the focus for us when it comes to investment is on growth. Anything we invest in must have the potential to grow. We are open to risk, so our risk appetite is high. Even if we get it wrong, we have a lot of time to correct the mistakes. So there are things that we recommend for people who are below 30 years when it comes to investing. A few of them are listed on the screen. Between 40 to 50 years, the focus should be on income. The focus is on income. You need something that can guarantee you some regular income, be it monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, or annually, to supplement your salary. So the focus or the investment choice must be something that can guarantee some income. So at this level, you are cautious when it comes to risk. You don't just invest in anything. You don't want to lose your money. After 50 years, after 50 years, the focus is on security of your investments. At this point, all you are looking for is something that can preserve your capital. No matter what it is, you don't want to lose your capital. So the choices we make after 50 years must relate to our risk level. Because at this level, you can't afford risk. You are risk averse. So it's investment instrument that can preserve your capital. So if you're on this call, depending on your age bracket, these are some few takeaways you can go with. Don't invest in something that a 30-year or a 25-year is invested in because it looks good when you are between 40 and 50 years. No, it doesn't work like that. So the decision is based on your age, your risk appetite, and your investment objectives. That is what the decision is based on. So a number of times people ask, so who can we talk to? Who can give us advice if we can't do it all by ourselves? We have financial advisors, brokerage firms, fund managers, pension fund administrators. They have so many pension retirement products. Banks and non-bank financial institutions. Everybody on this call, I believe, has a bank account. So you have a relationship manager. Speak with them. There's so many investment firms around. Speak with them and get the required advice before you take the next step. And please, when we receive the advice, let us act on it. Let's stop saying, I'll do it later, I'll do it next year, I'll do it in the next 2 years. When it comes to pension, I mentioned that there are a number of reforms, and I'm sure a lot of us on this call, especially if you're in Ghana, you know all of this, that we run a 3-tier pension system now, or structure now, tiers 1, 2, and 3. State manages our tier 1, and private pension administrators manage our tier 2s for us. So I mentioned something earlier on. You must know where your lump sum is coming from, and you must know where your monthly pension is coming from. You must know where those institutions are, because those are the institutions you approach when you go on pension. In addition to tier 1 and 2, it's also the tier 3, which is voluntary provident fund. A lot of institutions have converted their provident fund to tier 3 because there's a whole band of up to an additional 16.5% on top of our 18.5% that comes out of our basic salary. So you have this wide range, which is tax exempt, to put into a provident fund. If your company is not running it, please sign up to a tier 3 yourself and decide what percentage in addition to your 5.5 that you can put into the tier 3, which is provident fund. In addition to this, most of the pension fund administrators have personal pension scheme. Some are outside your organization. You can sign up to them, make voluntary payment. It's your personal pension account. Decide how much you put in, but make sure you actively put money in on a regular basis. When it comes to investments, the word is consistency. You must be regular about it. In addition to all this, you can still maintain a personal retirement account with a fund management company. These are long-term portfolio accounts that a fund manager can manage on your behalf to help manage the expected gap that you think will come up when you go on pension. Or usually when we go on pension, the computation is such that we only earn 25% of what we earn in active work. If your basic is 10,000, you are looking at 25% of that. So if 10,000 as basic is not taking you home, how much more less than that? But now information is out there. Everybody is supposed to have a pension fund account. You can go in and check your details. SNIT shares account with us on a quarterly basis, so you know what you earned. You can estimate your pension earnings as well before you go on pension. So let's carry out those exercises. So it's important for us to know what gap we have to fill. It's also important for us to note that we need to work for a minimum of 15 years. That is 180 months to qualify for pension. The pension age is 60. So by the time you are 45, if you are not on SNIT, you may not be able to enroll on SNIT because you need to work for 15 years. A number of us also make that mistake of branching out from our active work. We start doing something by ourselves and we go off SNIT completely. We must know that there is room for voluntary contribution. If you are working by yourself, you can still pay SNIT. So let's not stop paying SNIT because we are out of active work. We must continue to pay. And it's important to also know there's something called enhanced pension. You can earn as high as 65% of your basic salary if you are moved onto an enhanced pension scheme. That is, you have contributed more than 180 months. If you've contributed more than 180 months, you move into another bracket of enhanced pension scheme. Beyond that or below that, the highest you may get is just 35%. So there is room for us all to know what to expect when it comes to pensions. And this is all about information. And a number of us, when we are told SNIT is coming to our organization to engage with us, we don't go. We don't want to know. Please attend such workshops or seminars and get all your answers to your questions. It's important that we know that we must retire into prosperity and happiness, but not into deprivation and misery. These are the points we must know when it comes to liquidity. Sarah, how are we doing with time?
We are 8 minutes to the top of the hour.
Okay. So, yeah. Do I have some few minutes after that?
Then we'll have about 5 more minutes, if that could be. You could wrap it up the next 5 minutes.
Right, that's fine. So the second point I want to mention is health. It's important that we note this. This is by World Health Organization. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So we don't just walk into hospitals because we are sick. The conversation now is on wellness. Walk into the hospital when you are well, but you just want to confirm that everything in your body is so well. When it comes to health, it's about our mental states, our emotional states, what we put in our body, the food we eat, how we see exercise, how we engage constantly to ensure that we keep fit. So it's not just feeling sick, but it's all about wellness. It starts from our head all the way. So let's remember that at every time. The point about insurance, there are 4 things we must know, especially as we grow old and as we need to access insurance outside the comfort of our organization. If you don't have it at all, please, these are the 4 types of insurance you must have. Private insurance, health, education. Many of us retire with pension babies. We still have to be caring for children, paying school fees, even when we are on retirement. Life insurance, we don't know what will happen to us. Funeral, it's a big deal. If you don't have 50 to 100,000 these days, you can't even bury your loved one. So have funeral insurance for yourself and for your parents or spouses. It's important for us to know that if we don't plan and it happens, especially with forced or early retirement, there's a redundancy exercise going on in the organization. Somehow the new owner doesn't want anything to do with anyone who is 55 years and above. And you are hit, you have to go home. Are you ready? A lot goes on with us when we are forced out of our comfort zone or out of our routine activities. So we must understand all of this and be ready at every time where we have to disengage from active or regular work. So there's a lot of psychological adjustments that must come in once you retire, and the usual things or the usual routines that you have are no longer available. The very final point, social capital. I'm sure a number of us know about this. Belonging gives you something to do and someone to do it with. You can't do it all by yourself. You need to belong. That is what social capital is about. We need friends, we need families, we need support. All of these we gain through networking. So there's nothing about enjoying your own space, being by yourself, not going anywhere, not being there for people. There's nothing like that. We must know that it's very important for us to invest in friendship. It's not enough for me to just know Sarah by her name. If I call Sarah by my friend, I should know something else about Sarah. That is what friendship is. And we must all ensure that we have good family and good support system, our helps at home, who will be there for us when all the children leave home. Social capital, as I mentioned, is achieved through networking. And networking is all an intentional effort. It doesn't just happen. You must invest in networking, which means that you must be there for people when they need you most. And it's a sacrifice. It's getting out of your comfort zone to be there for someone when you don't really have to be there. So it's sacrifice now for future benefits. It's all about relationship building, and it's all about growing old together. So this is from me to all of you. Social capital, what it means. So the call to action, as I wrap down, it's for us to examine our current age and what is left of our pension age. If you're on this call, you know your age. Before you sleep, ask yourself, how many more years do I have to pension? That is the only exercise I want you to do before you sleep tonight. Your age and how many more years is left. Then going on, before the end of this month, please review your pension investments. What do you have and where do you have them? Please review them. Once you have done the review, you must know what you need to do for the rest of your life before pension. It's very important. You must also know what you use your retirement for. Remember, pension is 60 and it's just an age. At 60, we are still very young. There's a lot we can do after 60. So what are you going to use your retirement for? Let's remember that pension is not retirement. Pension is not retirement. So it's important for us to know what we'll do after pension. Thank you very much for your attention. I usually have a lot to say, but I'll end it here. Please, these are my social media handles. Just find me and we can continue with the conversation on planning and how we can help you plan for investment. We all need a gorgeous landing when we go on pension. So at this moment, Sarah, I am done and we can take questions from here for the rest of the time that we have on the call. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Suzy. This is really food for thought and a lot of the actions that we have to take. So the first one that you said we should do is to our age and how many years we have left to go on retirement. My first question to you before I start reading, Dr. Suzy, what if some of us are over 60 years old? What do we do? So that is a question for you that definitely will come up. So have that. So I'll just read out a few of the questions here. Quite a lot of questions. So just take some water and we'll get into the questions and then comments. Evelyn Taylor says, She paid into a work pension for a while, but she suspects it may not be enough to fund her plans when she retires. And Dr. Suzy has given us quite a number of ways to do that, to supplement our pension. Tete Jr. says not really, just have some thoughts in mind. That is when you ask the question whether he's got a pension, he's thinking about retirement. Okay, so let's move down to Mac Kumuji. Very interesting question. And Dr. Suzy, if you could note that down. Mac is saying, is investing in your children's education investment? If yes, then is it not fair to expect some returns in stipend from the children when you are old? Otherwise, what do you advise? So that's the second question. Okay, and a few comments from Ambassador Rockefeller. He's been very active, saying learn to save before spending. Great advice. And the most important liquid asset, the most important liquid assets is cash. This is complete wisdom. Okay, and Sam is also now a guest today, and he has been making so many notes. And then Paul Senyo Agato says he's already 60, so does he need planning? Does he need it? Okay, so take these 4 questions and then we can move down the comment section. Suzy, over to you.
Sarah, I noted 2 questions down. One was you are already on retirement, what you do. So that is you're after 60 years. And the second one I have is investing in your children. Is it a bad thing to begin to depend on them after? So I have 2. Yeah. So I can handle this for now.
Yeah, go with the 2. Okay. And somebody is already, so that's fine. Yes.
60 and above, well, it depends. It depends on where you work. For some institution, it's up to 65 years. So if you're above 60, the question, are you on retirement or are you on pension? So if you're above 60 and you're out of formal retirement, so the question I'm asking, what are you doing with your retirement? So the planning is actually before you retire or before you go on pension. Once you are on pension, whatever plans you have put in place is what you leave off. So one critical thing we must have in mind, what are we going to do after our formal work? We know 60 will come, we'll be asked to go home or leave. What engagement are we involved in on the side to ensure that once we are out of formal work, we have something doing? Whilst you were in active employment, what else were you using your time for? Or it was just the business of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that is it. Nothing else engages you. No side work, no consulting work, no training, no extra curriculum activity. You don't serve or anybody, you don't do anything at all. Is that the case? I don't want to believe that is the case. It's important for us to know that our lives are beyond just our working lives. It's not enough to just show up in the morning and then you shut down at 5 p.m. and that is it. There's a lot we can do after work. So those investments in extra curriculum activities after work are the investments we put together for retirement. So some people are even more busy or busier after pension than even when they were working because they have planned and they have so much to do after that. So pension is supposed to be enjoyed. So the thing is, you must plan before you go on pension. But if you're on pension, you still need to put in some plans in terms of your regular income needs. So if all you are getting is your pension, so the question is, what else did you do? You didn't have any other source of income coming your way. So the plan doesn't happen after 60. It happens long before that. But depending on where you work, if you're in academia, I think it's up to 65 years. So that is my response for that. Investment in children, of course, that is what we all live for. And it's every parent's pride. And it can't stop until you are no longer able to. The point I was making was the point at which we want our children to begin to support us. That is the point I was making. Not with their first income, not when they are now going to organize themselves and start their own family. Because the children will also begin to have their own expenditure needs. So if with the first job of your child, you are depending so much. The story I shared about my dad, I felt bad about it because in my mind I was like, my dad was working well, he was earning well. So didn't he see it coming? So it is that point of over dependency on the children, because once you do that, then you are also disturbing the next generation. The next generation is not able to save enough. The next generation is not able to invest enough. So the cycle just continue. By the time the younger ones are 60 years, they don't have significant savings because we have invested so much. And somehow we have our parents falling ill very early these days. And there's so much burden on the young ones to care for their parents. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with a child looking after you. No, that is all we all want. And it's the pride of every parent. But when it becomes mandatory, then that is where the problem is. Sarah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Suzy. And I just wanted to add to what you said about we investing in our children. Is the wording that I feel a little bit uncomfortable about personally, that we invest in our children. I think it is our responsibility to our children that we look after them because they will also take the responsibility for future generations. So I am a little bit uncomfortable with the word saying we are investing in our children. We are taking responsibility for them. Okay, so let me look at the next question. There are so many questions, so I better go very fast so you cover a lot. So Sam is saying, what type of insurance can we take now against retirement?
Yeah.
I think you did mention some, but if you could
health is very important. Health. It's very, very, very important. I mentioned if you still have children in school, they are yet to go through secondary school to the university, you are approaching retirement, education will hit. So an insurance for education is also very critical. And life, nobody knows what will happen. All of a sudden you are hit by a terminal illness. You didn't see it coming. Anything that can support your life beyond the comfort that the organization gives you, because the organization absorbs a lot when it comes to health benefits. They absorb a lot. We have no idea until we have to go to the hospital. And you are told that if you don't drop 2,000 cedis on the account, you will not even be admitted. And that is where you feel that this is real. So just coming in and out of the hospital, we didn't know. But now that is where you draw down on your private health insurance.
Thank you for that, Suzy. And then Rose O'Dyke says, good evening. Thanks for this topic. Very educative. Please, may I know if the remuneration from all 3 tiers are taxable? She wants to know whether there are taxes on all the 3 tiers of, I think, pension.
No, they are not. So these are deducted before your payee is applied. These are social securities for you. So they are deducted from your basic before for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So they are all deducted before.
Okay.
That is why it's important, yes. Just that it's a significant amount. To put 35% of your salary into pension is a significant amount. So most of us just leave it at 18.5. We don't do more than that. But up to 35% is tax exempt.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Great news. So I should put more. And then I'll pay less. Okay. And then Sam again says, let me give you 2 questions. He says, what will you recommend for those in the informal sector? And then another question, let me see. Okay, take that question. The others are comments. The
Okay.
informal sector, what would you recommend?
SNIT covers the informal sector very largely. So it is called voluntary contribution. It doesn't matter where you are working, how you are working. You can contribute, even if it's 5 cedis a month, you can be a voluntary contributor to SNIT. So SNIT covers the informal sector. And now even the private pension fund administrators covers the informal sector as well. So it's open to everybody. You just have to know where to go. So if you don't know, please seek the necessary information. You can walk to SNIT anytime, no matter, even if you are baking bread, selling coffee bookman by the road, you can sign up and roll with SNIT and you are contributing. It's the same with the private pension fund administrators as well. They have personal pension scheme that you can sign up to.
Excellent. And lots of commendation coming from our viewers. Ambassador Rockefeller says, thanks for the presentation and reminder. Cynthia Martinson says, insightful. Willis Kweku, awesome. Ebenezer Yebua, this has been an awesome presentation. God bless you. Jerry Buachidamka, great presentation. Thanks, Dr. Suzy. Brepo Akrofi, thanks for the presentation. So lots of commendations. Let's drop down to another question from Ambassador T. Rockefeller Jackson. Says, is it advisable to put all your funds in investment? Is it advisable to put all your funds in investment? And then BJK says, old people's home, is it not the first and best place for after retirement? Old people's home, is it not the first? Is it not the first and best place after retirement? So take those two questions and then we can move down.
When we say investment, investment is very broad. And the success at investing is diversification. So for me, the bigger conversation is usually on wealth creation and wealth management. So when I'm talking about investment, it's not just funds. We are looking at everything that you have, your properties, your land, your insurance, your businesses that you have set up, equities you have in other ventures through private equity. Everything about you is investment. So investment is diversification. So when I mention investment on this call, I'm looking at everything you have in your basket everywhere, be internal, external, with one institution, with multiple institutions. That is what it is. The idea is not to drop all your eggs in one basket. The idea is to spread. And that is why the tier 1 and the tier 2 are not with the same institution. Tier 1 is with SNIT, tier 2 is with another institution. So that is what it is. And managing your own personal pension scheme is also with another institution. So you are looking at the larger conversation. So investment is beyond just cash investment. We are looking at what properties do you even have that is even churning rental income for you? What land do you have that you can sell one day to make some money for? What number of boards you sit for on, and you earn quarterly board fees? What trainings do you organize every now and then, and you earn some money on the side? So it's a long and a wider conversation when it comes to investment. The question on old people's home. So is the understanding that once you retire, you move from your own home to an established home? It's not a usual practice in our part of the world because of our extended family system. And in our part of the world, once you retire or you go on pension, everybody in the community needs you. The church needs you. The family needs you. All of a sudden, you are head of family. Everybody is pulling you. So there's a lot of engagement on our part. So retirement or going on pension doesn't mean you should move away from the comfort of your home, even if you are unwell and you need some attention and you have to move away for some care. That's a different kind of arrangement. But that is not what we are meaning, that when you go on pension, nobody wants you to go in isolation when you are on pension. No, that is not what we are talking about. That is why the planning is very important.
Okay, right. Very great question here from Douglas Watting. Say, how does one mitigate against the continual devaluation of the cedi in pension planning? And, and then David Kobna Dokinu says, With the recent cleaning exercise in the financial sector in Ghana, who can we trust? The existing financial houses in the country with your retirement funds? So those are 2 questions for you, Suzy.
Which was the first one? The second
The
one I
first
got.
one is because of the devaluation of the cedi. How
Oh,
does
okay.
one mitigate against the continual devaluation of the cedi in pension planning? And then,
Something,
go ahead.
the issue of trust. Some things are beyond our control when it comes to macroeconomic indicators. We can't manipulate inflation. It is what it is. We can't manipulate depreciation. It is what it is. So when we manage your portfolio, for instance, we recommend some diversification into instruments that can help cushion such depreciation. So for some clients, we hold investment for them in dollars. When we buy properties for you, it is in dollars. So all those valuations are in currencies that helps to manage those expectations. So that is why diversification is important, that you don't just concentrate everything in one currency. So this is just for your information. The issue about trust, well, it's a bigger conversation. Thank God, there's been some cleanup. A number of institutions have survived. About 85 fund management companies have survived. So that is something to be said. It's important to know that we form a very critical intermediary in the financial markets in Ghana. And there are a lot of things, if you want to do, you can't do it without fund managers, because we are licensed to execute certain transactions. So we are very important in the financial market. How do you know who to trust? The first is to visit the regulators' websites and see those who are licensed to operate. That is where you start from. Then ask questions. Referrals are very important. That's why networking is even more important. Don't tell me you don't know anyone who has investments anyway. So speak to people in your network, get referrals, and make your own decisions after talking to a number of organizations. But most importantly, you must know what your funds are being invested in. Too many of us work into fund management companies. We drop our monies and we walk out. We don't know what our funds are being used for. Fund managers don't use funds that come to them. Fund managers are just a conduit to receive money and move into financial assets. So nothing stays with us. So it's important to know what your monies are being invested in and follow up. Don't just leave your money, go to sleep. Please follow up.
Thank you. Please follow up. That's true. I do that. I've left my money there and I'm not following up. So this is a nugget for me that I have to do. Mega Mind says, my name is Young. Okay, thank you for this information. How can one start pursuing a business or career today? Purposefully, meant for retirement if possible. Because at 60, one can continue working. So I'll read that again. How can one start pursuing a business or career today? Purposefully, meant for retirement if possible.
So we are looking at retirement or the pension age for this conversation. That's why we are sticking to the age 60. But as I mentioned over a number of slides, pension is not retirement. So the point we are making that by 60 is a statutory age for retiring. So you can't do anything with SNIT after 60 years. So you can't begin to contribute to SNIT. The latest age by which you must contribute to SNIT is 45 years. Because you need 15 years of contribution to qualify for pension. So by age 45, if you are not to SNIT, then you must have alternative plans towards retirement. That's where you engage in other investment activities to ensure that you have some cushion. So age is very critical in every decision that we take. What is good for Sarah may not be good for me because the age is different. So age is a starting point. We can engage in any economic activity at all that we have the energy for and love for after pension. That is for us to enjoy. So the plan after 60 years is really personal, but you can only make it happen if you start planning for it way ahead before age 60.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So David again says, oh no, we've read that already. Okay, Sam says, great presentation. Thanks, Suzy. And then Ambassador Rockefeller says, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. Oh, that's Proverbs 13:22. Thank you so much for this contribution, Ambassador. And then Jerry Buachidankwa says, I have contributed for 19 years to SNIT. What does that mean for me?
You are qualified. What is his name again?
Jerry Buachidankwa.
Jerry, you are qualified. But if you are still on regular income, please don't stop contributing. Continue to contribute so that you are moved into an enhanced pension range when you come on pension. So don't stop contributing because you have made the minimum 15 years. No. So far as you continue to earn regular income and you can afford to pay to SNIT, please continue, because the computation is on the average of your last 3 years, the best average. You really need that. So if your last 3 years in active engagement is where you earn the most, and the years before is where you earn less, please don't stop. Make sure you retire on your highest basic salary. That is the plan. So don't stop because you have done it for 19 years. Please continue.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzy. And more recommendations from David saying, Suzy, this is great presentation. God bless you. Adam Jando says, nice. Kwabena Abrompa says, great delivery. Thank you. Ayi Herbert Robinson says, great presentation, thought-provoking. And last but not the least, is from Edith Ama Dokusi Akpego, great presentation. Oh, and one just popped up again. Willie Glay says, great presentation, but it seems some of us have already fallen out.
Oh, really? Don't feel that way. When it comes to planning, the best time is to start now. When it comes to planning, nothing is too late for anyone. The best is to know what to do. So now you know what to do. Whatever you are left with in terms of number of years to pension, please have deep conversation with a professional on it and take some decisive decision, even if it's just 5 more years. Something can happen to that. So it is not too late for anyone on this call. You have to start now.
Okay, one more question comes up. Please, is Albert Donko says, please, how do you define residual income with respect to SNIT? How do you define residual income with respect to SNIT?
I'm not sure I have the answer to that. Maybe this will be something for someone from SNIT to answer. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So Albert, we'll take that offline.
Yeah,
we'll take that offline for you. And Gisela from Switzerland saying that it's interesting. In Switzerland, we work until the age of 65. And in Ghana, we work up to the age of 60. In Switzerland, it's 65. Thank you, Gisela, for this contribution. Yeah. So depending on the country from which you are, the retirement age seems to be different.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Ghana is 60, Switzerland is 65, and you did say that in academia it's also 65. Yeah. Okay, Suzy, I don't see any more questions. And this has been a great learning experience. And I just want to say a big thank you to you. But before we close, what are your concluding remarks?
I'll just take on the point, the last but one response I shared that it's too late for me now, or we have fallen short.
Yes.
I mean, there must be a reason you joined this call. There must be a reason you saw the flyer or the poster somewhere or the link. There must be a reason why you are here. So it's never too late for anyone. The most important thing is taking action. That is it. And for a number of us on this call, if we feel we have fallen short, please, let's share the word, especially to our children. Let's advise them the moment they begin active work. We know now we may have missed the boat, but let's share the word with our children so the next generation is protected. What we need is significant wealth in this country that we can transfer from one generation to the other. And getting that wealth is all about planning. And retirement is also part of wealth creation. It's a very critical element in wealth creation. So it's never too late. Let's keep hope alive. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Suzy. It's been an amazing, amazing time with you, and it's been worth it. Oh, I have two more questions. Okay, quickly, we still have time. Somebody's saying, are you retired? Are you referring to me or to Suzy? I don't think Suzy is retired. Ben, Suzy is not retired. I am retired. Yes. Victoria, thank you so much for your commendation, saying, great presentation, madam. God bless you. So, before we go off, the growth journey is still on for CTL. It's been great having all of you here. And Kofi, if you have the video for the growth journey, I think I'll ask you to do that, and then I can say bye-bye to everyone after the growth journey. Can we have that, Kofi? Thank you.
Hi, dear friend. My name is Samuel Ayim, and I'm the CEO for the Center for Transformational Leadership. And I'm bringing to you the growth journey. We've set aside 15 weeks of growth to help you to be intentional about your growth. Where do you want to reach in your leadership? Which area of your life do you want to grow in? Growth doesn't just happen. It has to be intentional. So in these 15 weeks, we're going to have a special coaching sessions with you to be able to grow to where you want to grow. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. We're going to help you in all and more within these 15 weeks. Every week we'll have a session with you. This program is limited to only 15 people. We're going to have 15 people for 15 weeks, and we're going to learn 15 great growth lessons on this journey. So make a date with us and see you on the growth journey.
Thank you, Kofi. Thank you so much. So that is the growth journey for those of you who want to take your leadership to the next level. And someone just asked, how do we get in touch with Dr. Suzy? Suzy left her, if you go through the replay, you see she left her social handles and how she can be contacted. And she's really open for, especially for the audience on TPL, that you contact her for more in-depth conversation on your wealth management planning. Suzy is open to that. And thank you all for showing up today. It's 1 minute to the top of the hour. And on behalf of Sam Ayim, who is the CEO of CTL and the normal host for the leadership platform, and also all the team that are behind the scenes, Kofi, myself, Priscilla, and the CTL team, we want to say thank you so much for your patronage, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Meanwhile, don't forget, Leave to Lead is coming on the 8th of October 21, and you will not want to miss it. So start planning for that. And we have had a lot of planning. Planning for a leader is really essential. Everything that we do boils down to planning. So thank you and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Every one of you have a journey to take. Your first step is your most important step. You don't go up to the top. You grow up to the top.
You are one decision away from shifting your life from where it is right now to a totally different place.
So often our setbacks are setups. It's just hard to see it at the time.
What if you interrupted that pattern of thinking and simply said, what do I want? That takes your energy and focus off of the problem and begins to focus you on a solution.
Success is a series of steps, not one giant leap.
Commitment will get us to the starting line. Consistency will get you to the finish line.
You were born. You were created for your life to count.